Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tom and I make videos that help you awaken your soul and create your happiest life. Welcome back to my channel. We're now doing part 2 of my spiritual awakening series. This part is all about the key signs and symptoms that you're going through a spiritual awakening. But before you watch this part, or maybe after this part, I encourage you to check out part 1, which lays the foundation of what it exactly means to be going through a spiritual awakening. And I cover all of that and kind of set the groundwork up for this video, which is now exploring the key awakening signs. So we're dealing with this second half of the board, whereas part 1 of the video was all this stuff at the top. So if you'd like to check that video, it's in the link in the description or in the corner just there. Before we get in this video though, I want to offer you a free gift, which I call the Reality Shift Cheat Sheet. This is a powerful resource guide that I've designed for all lightworkers, starseeds, and awakening souls. And it really contains all these powerful secrets that I found for shifting into your desired reality using manifestation principles, using also spiritual principles too. So if you want to get that free Reality Shift Cheat Sheet, just click the link in the description below. Okay, so let's now get into these key signs that you are going through a spiritual awakening. So sign number 1 is spiritual information. You are just drawn to this information like never before. You're reading about crystals, about astrology, about New Age metaphysics, about enlightenment, about spirituality. Maybe you've even gone back to a past religion and it took on a whole new meaning. You may also be reading about chakras, about the planets' energetic frequency, about fourth density, about shifting into the 5D, about extraterrestrials, and all this kind of amazing stuff. And it's really kind of stuff you never thought you'd be interested in, particularly a past, rational, very skeptical version of you would have even laughed at some of this information, and it would have all looked like New Age nonsense potentially. I know a lot of it would with me, and I remember actually laughing at my grandma years and years ago, maybe 10 years ago, when she tried to talk about creating an energy ball in her hand. She went, "Tom," she's English, she went, "Tom, look, I've got energy." And I remember being like, "Oh yeah, Grandma, you have energy? Well, check it out now, I've got an energy basketball, let me shoot." And I remember really making fun of her when I was, 15 or something, 16. And I remember just making fun of these ideas because they're just so out of your paradigm reality when you're not going through a spiritual awakening. But when you are, all of a sudden this information, it's like, give me more, I want to learn, I want to understand, and I'm so interested in this, I'm fascinated by this. And so you'll be learning about all of this kind of amazing information on these esoteric, spiritual, new age, metaphysical topics. The next sign are synchronicities. Usually you see numbers, repeating numbers like 1111. You'll see that at the time, or you'll see the same number, repeating numbers like 444, 777, 333, whatever it is, on car number plates. Or you'll have other synchronicities that are meaningful to you, like you'll see a ladybug right as you've had a powerful insight. You go, what's the symbolic meaning of that? And it sounds kind of like these aren't that big of a deal, but when you experience it, it's mind-boggling how repetitive they are. It's way more than just a confirmation bias type of thing. That's what it can seem like to someone on the outside of it. But when you experience it, these synchronicities are so crazy, it actually provokes you to be inquisitive and to wonder what the heck's going on. Why is this happening to me? And that actually pulls you into this investigation process to understand what's going on. These synchronicities are that kind of apparent. That, in a way, is also your gateway into more spiritual information. A lot of people go, why am I seeing 1111 so much? All of a sudden they're looking up at angel numbers and they're going down the rabbit hole of spiritual information. And as a side note, by the way, if you are seeing these synchronicities, it's a wonderful sign. Usually it's your spirit guides or your higher self trying to communicate positive, favorable things to you that you're on your path. And it will be very personal to your life situation. But if you're seeing them, you can kind of interpret that intuitive meaning. And it's a really fabulous sign that you're actually on your highest path right now. The next key sign you're spiritual awakening is an increase in empathic abilities. What I mean by that is you become extremely sensitive to your environment and to other people's energy. And this can be extremely challenging to deal with when all of a sudden you're walking through kind of your office environment and you feel all these dense energies. You feel the anger that's in someone, the frustration that's in someone, the sadness that's in another person, and you're actually wondering, is this in me? Where is all this energy coming from? And you don't have any boundaries up, and you're so overwhelmed by and sensitive to all these energies that are now in your environment. And it's because you've opened up your awareness to these more subtle energies that have always been there, and now they're kind of coming in and infiltrating in and overwhelming your system. And it's also the subtler spiritual dimensions, whether that's literally the spirit world. I don't get this much, but I know some people actually start seeing auras. They actually start seeing their spirit guides come in. They start sensing presences and all this kind of stuff around them, sort of from a spiritual, or you could say astral dimension that again have always been there, but your perception has been closed off because your consciousness has only been so focused on a mind, body, very three-dimensional human existence. But as it starts expanding, these sensitivities towards all these other dimensions and subtle energetic realities become apparent to you. And so a part of that is learning how to put your boundaries up and learning how to protect your energy field and actually cultivate it and empower it with the high frequency, love, light, beautiful, positive energies that you want to feel, and kind of taking control of that. That's a whole process to figure out that I'll explore in other videos. But you're very empathic, and you can actually read into the energy of a person or of a situation very clearly, and you start to develop this discernment of, I don't want to really be around this situation, or I don't think talking to this person is the best idea for my life. Whereas previously you just kind of around these people, these situations, and not noticing anything. Now you notice everything. Now you feel into everything. Now you detect and read the intention behind the situation and people with incredible depth. This actually can be quite incredible how intuitive and energetically sensitive you can become. The next major sign of spiritual awakening are major life catalysts. What I mean by catalysts are big life transformations and challenges. Now, we all go through challenges in life, intermittently. That's part and parcel of life. But the hallmark of a spiritual awakening is that these challenges or catalysts are at a rapid, accelerated, relentless rate, at an alarming rate. Your entire life can break down. Because as you awaken, you start gaining a new perception of reality itself, of who you are, and it can make you rapidly out of harmony with your current life. And as you're out of vibrational and energetic harmony with your life then starts to reflect that, and chaos breaks loose. All of a sudden your job starts to break down, your current relationship can break down, your friendships can break down, everything can change, your whole identity's dissolving and breaking down and shifting at a profound existential level, in fact. I remember one major phase of catalyst in my own journey was when I got fired from my job. I got let go. The company was going in a different direction. They didn't have the salary to keep me on. I got let go out of the blue. And I had no income coming in. I was cut off. I was living with my girlfriend at the time in this tiny, really bad flat in this terrible part of town. The whole building itself was full of all these crazy characters, and I remember walking into this building and just feeling the blackness of that energy. Again, that's the empathic thing. I never realized for months living there, all of a sudden I'm awakening. I'm feeling palpably how dense and negative this environment is. So I'm coming home, I've got no job, I'm living in this place, I've only got a small amount of savings to make something work. And then my intuition and I was getting strong synchronicities. You have to go traveling to India, using all of your savings basically, and go on blind faith to India for some spiritual purpose. I didn't know really what. I sensed it would be healing, to have some kind of insight. I didn't know. And I just, on blind faith, went, oh, okay. Took myself off to India within 2 weeks, blew through my savings, but of course then had profound healings. Then when I came back, I got another impulse: start up your own business. I was just constantly on the unknown, expanding. And then about a month after starting up my business, my 5.5-year relationship ended with my girlfriend at the time. And so I got fired, I went traveling, I started up a business, and I got out of a relationship in the span of about 10 weeks. And that was only just like the beginning of then a whole other year of expansive experiences. So it's this kind of ridiculous life breakdown and challenges that you'll be kind of pushed through. And in hindsight, I could see it was because my vibration was raising, I was aligning with my true self, my true purpose, and all this stuff that wasn't resonating, or people and situations that actually were totally fine, but they were going in a different direction to where my soul always wanted to go and was pulling me, well, all that had to be cleared away. And so really overall, it's just this major sense of life challenge, and it's externally actually happening all the time. Big challenges, big letting go, you're pushed into new uncomfortable situations, and you're just evolving at a rapid rate in your external life. Again, hold on if this is you. It does start evening out, and you do start getting used to it and more confident in your ability that it's actually guiding you towards your highest purpose and the best possible life for you. And so the next key sign that you're going through a spiritual awakening are the physical symptoms that you experience. These include ringing in the ears out of nowhere, lots of intense pressures, particularly if you're starting to notice your third eye energy is awakening. You can have forehead pressure and headaches. You can have other indigestion and chakra blockages in your stomach and solar plexus chakra. You can have extreme exhaustion and fatigue. You can have weight gain and bloating or weight loss. I remember I had extreme weight loss. I was like a rake. I felt completely weak, and I couldn't eat things, and my diet was changing, and I wanted only light foods, and I couldn't all of a sudden eat any red meat. It would make me sick. It can kind of just feel like your whole central nervous system on some days is just zapped full of energy and just blown its circuit and can't contain the vibrational shift in energy that you're now being exposed to as you're on this spiritual awakening journey. So it can be just your whole body is just taking this beating as it's adjusting at a physical level. Sometimes you actually can get sick and kind of have colds on and off and things like that, but you just can't put your finger on it. Your whole body just is not quite itself. So that again does pass as you adjust. You've really just kind of got to get through that. And of course, if it resonates for you, seek medical attention. And I may even do a video in greater depth on how to manage these physical symptoms. The next one is the emotional side. You literally go on an emotional roller coaster. Again, in normal life, you do experience a up and down experience of emotions. One day you're on a good day, next day you're kind of having an off day, etc. It's kind of life, right? But not on a spiritual awakening. This is at an absurd kind of roller coaster rate of ups and downs. And really it's because you are becoming aware of this spiritual dimension within you. Your consciousness and awareness is expanding. And as it does so, your whole energy is raising to a higher frequency of consciousness that, like a flashlight, it's like a flashlight shines into the attic. And all this repressed emotion that's been buried within your energy field, within your emotional body, it starts rising up to the surface. As it bubbles up, and you've kind of got to experience and live through all these emotions. And so unexplainably, all this feeling of sadness can come up, and you just want to burst into tears, or you can have anger come up, or frustration. And then as that clears away, all of a sudden, you're on an amazing high the following day, or following hour even. And you just have clarity and divine connection, and you feel amazingly aligned and so clear in your purpose and what you're going to do, and that everything's going to be okay. And of course, all this is all interconnected with the catalysts that you're going through in your life, the physical symptoms you're dealing with, the energy you're processing around the environments you're in. So all of this kind of blends in. It's just this chaotic experience of emotional roller coaster that you're on. And it's just quite crazy. But the truest point of it all is that actually you are cathartically releasing and healing all of this trapped debris of emotion within your energy body, within your emotional body. And as you feel it, you are healing it, you are liberating it. You're actually becoming more and more pure, a more and more pure high consciousness, mind, body, spirit complex, or vessel of the divine, spark of the source, awakened soul. And so it's actually raising your vibration in a positive way. But unfortunately, this kind of chaotic experience of emotions is very intense and a part of this process when you're just starting to awaken. So that's another key sign. And so the next sign is one of the most severe signs I experienced, but it's an existential crisis, or crises. My heart goes out to you if you resonate with this. But basically, as you're becoming aware of this other dimension of life, it can really existentially scare your ego, your little human identity that you've been in this bubble all along and existing as, thinking that there's nothing else to reality. And all of a sudden that bubble gets popped. And if it gets popped in the wrong way, or you take in a teaching that's not particularly heart-centered, and this can actually be quite a lot of spiritual teachings, unfortunately, can be very brutal and say things like, you don't exist, reality is an illusion. And in some sense, all that can be true from a certain angle. If you take in the certain wrong teachings and you're going through all this crazy experience of all these other symptoms at the same time, and you're more of a sensitive, heart-centered, empathic soul, as I am, then basically all of these philosophies, all this spiritual information, all these experiences can cause existential states of fear and anxiety. You don't even know who you are anymore. You can't get a grip on reality, and you're completely freaking yourself out, and you can just experience lots and lots of fear and anxiety. And so you're just kind of overall scrabbling for your identity, and you're completely lost in your life and who you are and what the purpose of things are. And you can just get into really kind of dark, fearful, anxious states. Then after this, you can also experience bouts of depression and apathy when you feel like life is losing its meaning and you just don't really know what this is all for. You're just so overwhelmed and caught in the thick of this awakening experience and trying to process it. And it's, again, as I said, I experienced this to the core. I remember there was one point in my awakening journey where I felt so overwhelmed, I felt so scared at an existential level. I remember shivering uncontrollably in a bath, and I drained the water out of the bath, and the water just like ran all the way down to the bottom, and I didn't even have the strength to move. I felt completely alone in the entire universe, and like no one could console me, not even a physical human being, because I didn't even know what it meant to be human, who was even talking to me, what reality was, what existence was, anything. So it's can be very overwhelming and scary, and this loss of identity and change in the meaning of life at the very fabric and core of your identity. And if you're going through this, I promise you, you're going to get through this, and everything's okay, and that this fear again is a sign that you're healing and it's for a divine purpose, and eventually it will be soothed and processed and integrated into a deeper sense of peace. And one of the key insights I can give you is that any of those spiritual teachings that make you feel bad, that make you question reality in a negative, fearful way, that provoke anxiety or depression or a loss of meaning and apathy, are not teachings for you. And I encourage you to find more heart-centered teachings and people that actually show you that spirituality is the integration of your human identity, not the obliteration of it. And all of that integration process is so that you can experience a greater unity, love and connection and peace with all of life, and especially within yourself. And that is the highest truth. So if it makes you feel good, follow more of those things and start letting go of teachings and teachers and ideas that are perpetuating this sense of existential crisis. But I promise you, you will get through it, and my heart goes out to you. And so on the flip side, one of the most positive signs of awakening are the spiritual experiences, the mystical experiences. And this is what it's all truly about. This is what truly makes it worth it. Now, these spiritual experiences can be more minor, or they can be kind of more epic, profound, life-changing. And so the minor ones may include you becoming more aware of this subtle energy moving through your body, maybe aware of your chakras, the energy flowing in and out of those, which ones are blocked and more open. Maybe you'll notice tingling and opening in your third eye. Those cool kind of spiritual experiences. Or maybe you start doing astral projection, kind of leave your body and go into another dimension, hang out in the astral realms, or have really extreme vivid dreams where you meet your spirit guides or something like that. Or you can have really profound divine experiences of oneness, bliss and love, where you feel like a part of you has been plugged back into the very source of all of life, and you feel that divine, infinite love flow into every part of your being and completely awaken your heart and expand it with infinite love. I remember that was actually my first spiritual experience, was in the lowest part of my awakening where I just about lost hope. I remember just chanting on my bed, faith, faith, faith. I just said, I have faith, I have faith, I have faith. And I didn't even know why I was saying that. It just came to me. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this love, this divine love just pulled into my heart chakra area and just in one instant exploded open. And it exploded, my consciousness dissolved and became a part of everything. It is infinitely connected to another higher dimension of reality. And in that moment, I had the epiphany that love is the fabric of all of life, and it just melted my heart, and I felt the existence of God, or the source, in every cell of my being. It was the most profound experience of my life, or one of them. And in that moment, it fueled me with a hope and an optimism and a knowingness that stuck with me to this very day, that makes the whole spiritual journey worth it. Are these peak experiences of spiritual divine unity and oneness, love and peace. And so those are also some of the most beautiful parts of this journey, when you have those glimpses and those rare states of a profound connection to the spiritual dimension within you. The next sign will be the fact that life can become dreamy. This is actually quite a cool thing, and actually a very scary thing at the same time. It depends on how extreme this is for you. But you can actually feel like your consciousness is starting to leave your body a little bit, and you're kind of hanging up above your body, and you're a little bit disassociated from what's going on. And you can feel a little bit like you're not here, and you're ungrounded, and that you're floating through life, and that people are talking to you, but it feels holographic. All of reality feels like almost like a video game, like it's not real. And it's kind of an eerie vibe of disconnection, and you just feel spacey and everything's dreamlike. And if you're flowing with it, that can be really cool, and you can kind of be, testing things out, like imagining something, and then something appears in your reality and you're like, wow, what the hell's going on? Or it can kind of be weird, like you feel like you're not really here. And again, that's just because your consciousness is expanding, and it's expanding so high. It's a really amazing thing, but you just need to do more grounding work. And so if you're experiencing this, again, everything's going to be okay. I definitely experienced this. I remember once I went out to eat a burger at a restaurant, and I felt like I was eating like fake nothingness, and looking at people walking around. They were all like characters walking out in a movie that weren't even there. And I was like, oh my God, what is happening to me? Everyone's like talking to me, and I'm like, I feel like I'm a mile away. And it was quite, I'm a bit of a worrywart, so I got very overwhelmed when I was experiencing things like that. But again, it's a passing phase, and it's just all about becoming more grounded in your physical vessel. And what can really help you to know, and through deep contemplation I've discovered this, is that reality is not an illusion. Reality is real, in the sense that reality is a manifestation of God, and God is real, or the source is the only thing that's real. But it just so happens that the source is eternal peace, love, goodness and beauty. So that's what reality is too. So you're eternally okay within this reality. It's real, but it's real because God is real. So it's soothing to feel that you're not in some weird, necessarily illusion in a negative sense, but rather in a divine expression of love that has a purpose, that has a reality, and you can interact with other souls and become more grounded in your physical vessel by following certain practices, by coming back in and claiming your power, and just knowing that it's going to pass in due time. The next sign is, and again, this can happen at any point due to these myriad of reasons, but the next sign is loneliness. As your life breaks down, as your identity shifts at an existential level, as you're grappling with the big questions and going through big shifts in consciousness and energetic upgrades and processing energy, you start really feeling like this experience, you need to share it with someone. And then you go to share it with people, and most people have no clue what the heck you're talking about. They're just not even going through it. They haven't even begun. They haven't even taken the first step. They're totally just going about reality in a mind, body, identity. Nothing's really happened for them yet. And that's nothing against them. Their soul is destined to awaken. It's just where they are. Just like when you were in that reality and he had no idea either. I certainly was there most of my life, over 2 decades. No clue whatsoever. Even was against this altogether, kind of like trying to push it away as New Age nonsense, and I was very atheistic. The point being is, you go to talk to your friends and your family and the people that you've grown up with, and you can't get that connection. You can't talk to them. You can't communicate just how extreme and incredible and overwhelming and ridiculous and deep and profound this experience, this awakening experience is. You just cannot connect to them. There's no way they can understand, because they're just not going through it. It's not their fault, but it creates this sense of isolation and loneliness. And you kind of can't relate to people and your family, your friends anymore. And it's just very, very lonely. and very, very hard to deal with. And you can, again, feel that despair, that disconnection for a time being from friends, from a life you used to know. And it's just kind of can bring up a grief and loneliness and sadness. Again, this is a passing phase, and as you process this and as you let go of various things and you come more fully into yourself and your own spiritual path, you start attracting in and manifesting in more resonant souls and a soul tribe and a life of fulfilling connections. And even better is that more people are awakening now than ever before. And so you actually find that family members or friends, etc., that previously had no clue are actually going through it now. And that can be really amazing, where it all comes full circle and you've actually gone through it now that they are too. So it's not necessarily expect or wait for this to happen or try and convince people or force people to awaken, but just focus in on your path, trust in your path, trust it's all going to unfold perfectly for you. That's all a wonderful journey for you ultimately, and that people will come round and you'll always have connection there, even if you do feel lonely now. But I definitely have experienced that loneliness, and so my heart goes out to you. The next sign is a fundamental identity shift. I mean, I don't have to kind of explain why that would be the case, but as you recognize, oh, I'm not just this person I was acting unconsciously, being conditioned and programmed by my family and society the way I used to be, but actually I'm this divine spiritual being, a spark of the source, and all of a sudden I'm learning so much about myself, I'm healing, I'm becoming more aware of my preferences, what I want in life, all this kind of stuff. You start changing. Your preferences, your values start changing. You start eating different food. You may dress in a different fashion. Your habits may change. And fundamentally, who you believe you are and what you believe is happening in this world and your role in it can completely be wiped clean and rebuilt from the ground up. You align authentically with who you really are and have always been as a soul. Now, some people may not shift at all and actually may be quite aligned. That may be you. And just have a couple of minor things change, or only a change in a key area, whereas other people can completely change in every aspect. So wherever you are, it's all normal though, this big shift. And again, it's for something really positive. For me, I would say it was kind of down the middle. I was always kind of in this kind of sense of I wanted to read books and think about the world. And I studied philosophy in high school and university and got a degree in it. And I was always driven to find my purpose long before my awakening. It was part of my soul theme. I had to find a purpose. I had to find friends that I resonated with. It was just some kind of intuition within me rather than just kind of falling in with the wrong crowd and doing all the wrong things. I was always into personal development for years before my awakening. So when it happened, I noticed some huge things changed, like my work and relationships, but then some authentic traits within me just blossomed even more, which is a really beautiful thing. But overall, my identity did shift, and it's for the greatest good of myself and for all. And the same thing is for you. The more you come into this authentic self of who you really feel destined to be, the more you give permission for others to do that too, and the more you uplift the planet with your energy of alignment that you are in. And lastly, the last sign is a desire for truth. This is a truth in both yourself and reality. And this kind of relates to why you're exploring this spiritual information and why you're on this path, is that you want to get to the bottom of reality. There's some niggling urge to understand the universe, the secrets behind the universe, who you really are. Who am I? Why am I here? What's really going on? What's the purpose? And then as you kind of find some clues or satisfying answers that resonate with you, you want to expand into that truth. So for example, for me, I've come to understand that reality is about becoming one with the divine, and in that, experiencing the love of my essence and then becoming a vehicle and vessel of that as best as I can to help the planet awaken to this love and peace and bliss and goodness and beauty that is their intrinsic nature. And I'm not the first one to discover this. I have so many inspiring resources and teachers, so much more advanced on this path, that have inspired me and fueled me to the extent where this is a truth that's blossomed for me, this love. It may be something different for you. Everyone's free to believe whatever it is, to find the meaning that resonates with them, but that's what you'll be seeking. And you'll also be seeking your intimate reason for being here? What's your true purpose? What are your soul's gifts? What's your theme and blueprint for being here? You're kind of getting at the bottom with that. You're willing to explore, you're willing to align with this, whatever it takes. And it's this overall desire for truth, integrity, love, and alignment at all dimensions of yourself and your life. It's a big project, isn't it? But overall, it'll just be this desire for truth, and it'll be really a thirst that you really want to quench. And I remember Dr. David R. Hawkins said that, one spiritual experience can change the entire orientation of a person's life, change their priorities completely. And that's very much what this kind of feels like, is that everything becomes more and more directed to living a profound, aligned, meaningful life and getting the satisfying answers and results in all those areas for yourself. Now, lastly, with all these signs, you probably resonated with some or all of them to varying degrees. Take what resonates, of course. Let go of anything that doesn't. But the key thing is that everything's okay. You are a spark of this infinite source, and you will return to this infinite source. And that's actually an idea I got from A Course in Miracles that really deeply resonated with me and touched me. Was the idea that no matter how far we deviate, no matter how crazy and challenging life may be in this incarnation or the next, however long it takes, there is a pull within the Creator, within this source, within God, that's like a magnet within every soul. And so no matter what, no matter how far you deviate, no matter how hopeless life seems, you will always be magnetized back into this source, and therefore you will reunite with that source, with your truest essence, with your most enlightened nature, as this blissful, peaceful, eternal source of love and goodness and beauty. And so that is the end destination for you and for everyone. And there is also a global awakening that's happening. And maybe you've noticed that. And so we're all in this together. People are waking up. And so now more than ever, all of the resources and understanding we have about spiritual awakening is becoming more mainstream and accepted. So you're not alone, and it is going to result in your happiest life if you just keep going. I am going to make more videos, having said that, on how to process each of these kind of themes and symptoms and signs in more depth, give you more practical things. But I just wanted to leave you with that no matter where you are, you will return to that source. You are eternally okay. This is all part of the unfolding of your happiest life and highest destiny, and it's all for a divine purpose that all of us on this planet are experiencing and are in together. Alright everyone, that's the second part of my spiritual awakening series, dealing with the key signs and symptoms that you are going through spiritual awakening. If you like this video, please like it, leave me a comment, subscribe to my channel. Stay tuned for more videos on spirituality and manifestation. Get the free reality shift cheat sheet if you resonate with that. And of course, check out my one-on-one coaching, all of the links in the description below.